Today we're going to unpack the top 7 common relationship misunderstandings in Filipino dating. We'll be looking really closely at those cross-cultural dating realities that can, quietly destroy a relationship if they aren't clearly understood. Dating someone from an entirely different culture is an amazing adventure for sure, but today we're going to zero in on the friction points that often catch people completely off guard.
So it's the ultimate question, right? Is love actually enough to bridge a massive cultural gap? It is super easy to fall into this really beautiful, romanticized view of dating a Filipina. I mean, they are known to be loving, supportive, loyal, and incredibly family-oriented. But here's the catch. Mismatched expectations are a very real challenge. When your cultural default settings clash, even the absolute deepest affection can kind of quickly turn into frustration.
So here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. First, the cross-cultural dating reality. Second, silence, shame, and saving face. Third, the language of money. Fourth, lost in translation. Fifth, clinginess and Filipino time. And finally, number 6, boundaries and mutual respect.
Okay, starting off with Section 1, the cross-cultural dating reality, merging two worlds. Listen to this quote from our sources and really let it sink in for a second. When you're dating a Filipina, you're not just dating her, you're dating the culture she grew up in. It's literally a package deal. You are dating the expectations of her family, the values she was taught, and the specific survival behavior she learned in her environment. You are, quite literally, merging two entirely different worlds. Moving right along to Section 2, silence, shame, and saving face. This covers misunderstandings number 1 and 2.
Let me introduce you to a really vital cultural anchor point. It's called Tampo. So Tampo is essentially sulking mixed with the silent treatment. In the Philippines, if a woman gets mad, she's likely not going to yell or shout at you. Actually, instead, she'll pull away, maybe avoid eye contact, and just get very, very quiet. It's this deeply ingrained way of handling negative emotions without causing a loud, embarrassing scene.
And this brilliantly illustrates our very first misunderstanding. The Western perception is often, oh, she's ignoring me just to be mean, or she's trying to punish me. But the reality? It's just Tampo. She's simply letting her emotions run their course. But because you aren't a mind reader, right, this leaves a lot of foreign partners feeling like they're constantly guessing what on earth they did wrong.
So how exactly do you handle Tampo? Well, step 1, acknowledge your feelings. Step 2, give her space to cool down. But here is where so many people fail. Step 3, do not reward the behavior with gifts. Buying her a new iPhone, booking a vacation, or taking her to an expensive dinner just to break the silence, that only reinforces toxic manipulation. It basically teaches her that acting toxic gets her exactly what she wants.
Now let's look at our second cultural pillar, which is Hiya. This translates to shame, and wow, is a massive driver of behavior. Hiya focuses entirely on avoiding offense, dodging drama, and ensuring absolutely nobody loses face in a social dynamic. Because of Hiya, many Filipinas will kind of skirt around the brutal truth rather than deal with direct, head-on confrontation.
And because of Hiya, you run smacking to our second misunderstanding. You might be sitting there thinking, well, she's agreeing with me. She said she's fine, so everything must be perfect. But the reality? Her silence, or that really quick yes, might actually be her hiding a financial mistake, covering up jealousy, or hiding the fact that she absolutely hates the plans you just made. She's not trying to deceive you maliciously at all. She just genuinely believes silence is way safer than risking your anger.
Let's jump into Section 3 now, the language of money, covering misunderstandings 3 and 4.
Misunderstanding number 3 is a trap that so many guys fall into. You arrive, you see a problem, and naturally, you want to be the nice guy who fixes it. You think, I must fix her family's problems to be a good partner. But here's the reality. Helping family is totally culturally expected over there. And if you don't set boundaries early on, taking the bait to finance businesses or pay off their debts basically sets you up to be a walking ATM, not a boyfriend.
I absolutely love this analogy from our sources. Do you keep paying the plumber after he unclogs your pipes? It's a harsh but completely necessary reality check. If you show up and just instantly solve every single financial problem she and her family have, well, there's often no reason left to keep you around. You are there to find a partner, right? Not to start a charity.
Which leads us right to misunderstanding number 4. You might look at her spending habits and think, man, she is just irresponsible with money. But we really have to look at the context here. Formal financial planning is rarely taught in schools there. Many grow up with literally nothing to manage. So when money does finally arrive, spending is often a deeply emotional thing, usually driven by guilt to help extended family or just heavy peer pressure. It's almost always a lack of education, not some malicious intent.
Okay, section 4, lost in translation, which brings us to misunderstanding number 5.
Look at misunderstanding number 5. She speaks English, so she definitely gets my sarcasm. Actually, no way. Emotional and cultural fluency doesn't always match up with English fluency. A casual curse word, a dark joke, or your dry sarcasm can deeply offend her or cause her to step back from the relationship. Why? Because Western humor often translates as genuine anger or sheer disrespect in her cultural context. And this brings us to an absolute, strict, non-negotiable rule. Never yell. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. In the Philippines, shouting at your partner, calling them stupid, or even just raising your voice in frustration is considered one of the absolute worst things you can possibly do. It completely strips away their dignity, causes massive loss of face, and honestly, in many cases, it's instantly game over for the entire relationship.
Moving to Section 5, Clinginess and Filipino Time. This covers misunderstandings 6 and 7.
So you might think, oh, she's messaging me nonstop, checking my phone all the time. She's just being super affectionate and cute. The reality? It can often be jealousy or deep-seated insecurity perfectly disguised as just being clingy. Many Filipinas are overly sensitive because of past toxic relationships or cultural gossip. So what feels like cute affection to you might actually be her policing your behavior.
And then, oh boy, we have Filipino time. This is a notorious local reality. It's basically a cultural trait where punctuality is, let's just say, highly flexible. A family gathering or a date might honestly start an hour or two after the scheduled time. It is so deeply ingrained there that it literally has its own name.
So how in the world do you handle it? Misunderstanding number 7 is assuming she's late simply because she doesn't respect you. The reality is that it's just a very normal cultural habit. However, you definitely shouldn't be a doormat. You've got to communicate calmly that your time matters. If she's continuously late, you know what? Start the date or the plan anyway. You have to teach respect for your time by setting clear boundaries. Which brings us to our final section, number 6, boundaries and mutual respect, the bridge between cultures.
Think of this as your cross-cultural survival guide. First, don't reply to extended family money requests. Just ignore them. Keep your relationship private to avoid all that rampant local gossip or chismes. Communicate your expectations clearly, but remember, without ever raising your voice. And most importantly, block toxic exes and walk away from massive red flags. Understanding a new culture never ever means you have to tolerate bad or manipulative behavior.
Which leaves us with this final, really important thought to chew on. Will you let these cultural differences be a wall that separates you, or will you use clear boundaries, patience, and mutual respect to build a uniquely strong relationship? When both partners actively choose communication over silence and growth over avoidance, these cultural differences actually become the very things that make your relationship so incredibly strong. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.
As always, subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment below. There are also some links in our description that you may find useful. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.